7 days ago. 7 days ago. Sounds like a long time, right? No. Oh shit. Let's restart. Oh yeah, now we're on. Now, don't you dare give me the hot thing. Oh, now, uh, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're back again, of course, and yeah, but still, I'm surprised. How does this happen? 2.4 thousand short for 5% in the US, 5 UK, 3% Canada. Yeah, but still, it was funny. Yeah, that was still funny though. Like, how? Yeah, that reminds me every time. Was he just jumped Barry out? Yeah, you 27 minutes left. Let's and if you want a recap of what Hytale is, here's the story. Hypixel wanted monetization on it was to be on Minecraft, but Minecraft team denied it, which I think it was fine though and understandable. But now they decided to make a new game, and luckily, they in 20 they released a trailer, and then 2020, of course, COVID hit, so not much was going on. But surprisingly, right? Yeah. If all right, first of all, watch out for Caitlyn. Don't want because Riot Games bought Hytale in 2020. And for some reason, there were a few updates that were getting ready. Concept on, fan on, a lot of type of stuff. But in 2025, in July, I still remember it being June, the game got canceled. And then after a while, Roger Badgerman bought it back, and it was saved because normally it's rare. It's rare to have a game that got canceled get revived by buying the original game back. That was rare and a blessing at the same time. It was like with Marvel when they sold the rights to the biggest characters. It was thought to be impossible to start a Marvel universe without the biggest teams, but thankfully, And also, Marvel did not start with Spider-Man, no X-Men, no Fantastic Four. They started with Iron Man, and then they made it succeed in those years. But luckily, we now have the the greatest redemption story of all time. And we're heading to Hytale on January 13th, 2026. And hopefully this thing does not crash again. Are going to still be the same, of course, for now. For now. But we'll wait and see. Simon, tomorrow, 10 a.m., just like last week, of course. Let's find the post where it says, of course, right here, the official release date. And now, all right, all right, guys, we got a question for you. Question of the day before you answer. All right, question for you all. Let me find it real quick. Where? Let me just go to right here. That's the official Hytale account. You can see I'm going. All right, let me just. There, all right. Which version? All right. Before the announcement, what version would you guys get? Which version? We got standard 1999, supporter 34.99, or the curse breaker, or the founders pack. To me, I'm going to say supporter right now since 1999 sounds good, but supporters I think it's gonna be worth it. Let me tell you. Curse breaker might have a store mode, but I'm going to go support right now. And also, the feedback right here is pretty cool. Just 20 minutes left. The early access, January 13th, 2026. Prepare. This is this is pretty. Yeah, I'm probably going If I had a computer, then I would skip school for this. I would skip school for this, no matter what. This will be an epic game. I'm going to tell you that. Even if he says it'll be bad, which at worst it'll be buggy, cyberpunk buggy. But on the other hand, it's going. I think it's going to be epic. Probably. Oh no, no. All right. You guys did not see that. You guys did not see that. And now it's. Yeah, we're not. If you want to know who that is, go to Twitter, some find out. I'm not showing it. Now, and also my goat. Let's talk about my goat. I might oh, I might watch his WICSO episodes only for now, but it's gonna be epic. We got two things happening today. Hytale and of course him of course. I would love to join. I would love to, yeah. But maybe after. uh let let's give him a match for me. Alright, the news right here. Slay the Spire sequence. Uh, I think yeah, this is. Should I get music background right now? I'll wait. I'll wait. Uh, yeah. What? Uh, let me. Of course. Yep. I bet there's gonna be. Oh, can't do it. I'm ready for the new monks. All right. Yeah, we lied to him, but we'll be his friends, of course, right? Well, womp womp to him. All right. Do you think Rush will eventually invade the brown country? No. No. Mm, uh, I think the Mongol Empire. Alright. I feel like the WICSO Mongol Empire could be the Green. Oh, let's talk about who could be the Mongol of WICSO. Ages did had a Mongol, but it was shorter than the death of Turkey. I mean Anatolia. Let me find. Let's go here and find that real quick. You, no one cares about those. So yeah, this was the Mongol one. This was
of Central Asia, really. They really have nothing better to do either. And for a very brief moment, they looked like the next Mongol Empire. As they explore the steppes of Asia, slowly going back to where Europe is, they wonder how long it's going to take. And unfortunately, after becoming the largest country in the world, they collapse and completely split apart into a bunch of different countries. But these countries are still pretty big. The only issue is there's no one living here. The population, for example, for comparison, the population of this weird thing, Bay Biscay, Brittany, France thing is larger than the combined population of all five of these countries. So really, I mean, it's like the Mongol Empire, but if it just didn't become strong. So the exploration of Central Asia and the Central Asian steppes is temporarily halted. However, the Green Team, having received word that the dark blue turquoise team is very near it, sends out an expedition and meets up with the other explorers. Eventually, the Green
Yep,
Team
that is their Mongol Empire. So yes, you are not wrong, but there we go. All right, 9 minutes left. All right, before we do this, now this might destroy my phone. All right, if I download this video, I might need to delete everything. This video is 20 to 27 minutes long. And here is how much it's going to take. My phone is even on fire. No, not really, but it's heating up. If I go here, you'll see. Look how much it will take. Even if I go down right here, that's still a ton. That's so much. That's so much. How am I going to do this? How? That is so much. 1,014.3 mil. That's probably a billion. Yep. Yeah, let me get out of this before I crash the phone. Yeah, that happened. Oh, hello there. I like ducks. Anyways, we got 5 minutes left. Under 5 minutes left. Let's head. Oh yeah, 4 on the console. Maybe. Dueling. Why did you? Dueling just probably it's feeling on me. Let me just. The way here's cool. Why, dude? Your rent is not that bad. Why, dude? Why? Why? You have betrayed us, dude. Yeah, that's why I'd stop Swedish. Because of you. Yeah, because of you. Why? I won't be surprised if Duo is in the phone. Joking. Joking. Anyway, 3 minutes left. Alright, what song we played last time before we discovered it? My phone does not work. Let's see if it works. There we go. Let's see what. Ah. 2 minutes, everyone. 2 minutes. Alright. One minute left. One minute left. 1 minute left. Yeah. Ah. First, look at some extra cosmetics. Found edition. Found in Hytale's early access. You can mix every piece from the new sets with any existing in-game ones. Style your avatar your way. You can mix every piece from the new sets with any existing ones. Style your avatar any way. If you purchase either the Sword or Curse Breaker edition, you also get all the cosmetics in the tier below. If you are buying the Curse Breaker edition, you'll also receive everything in the supporter and standard editions. We will be expanding the content each edition. Here's a peek at some of the exclusive capes included with the early access. If we see it right here. Alright, Supporter Edition, plus all sets, Standard Edition, Scavenger set, Featherbound set, Arctic Scout set, more coming soon. Alright, here it is. Right here. Supporter Edition, Curse Breaker Edition. Which now going now which one will be my favorite? Obviously, this one's going to be my favorite of them all. And there is more because unlike last time, we're not going to stop here. In fact, we now have 58 minutes left until a new. And instead, but anyways, which of these outfits will be your favorite? Which of these are your favorite? And I'm going to say this one is, since it's blue, of course. But that is Curse Breaker Edition. But anyway, 4 or 5 days. 4 days until the release. And well, let me just head right here. This is how many days we got until it releases. What do we do for 55 minutes? You may be asking. Let's check some channels out.
Hey Cameroon, what's new? Hey USA, what's new?
Nothing new right here. Nothing new right here. And I don't know what that is till one. That is YouTube's fault. Now, Do you guys have any questions? Let me check. Because it's not like places where I can just check. What? But everyone, should I return to rope? Should I return? After I'm done streaming my. But now we wait until it's but Adidas, bro. We wait until he comes back. But for now, what is that? Alright. Nope. Yeah, I forgot what I'm doing, but it released 1 year ago. Well, 9. But still, I'm surprised this got successful. Yeah, I'll be surprised if she calls it down on my channel. I don't. It's my third, or is it 2436? 24. So this is my fourth most popular short. But anyway, now I was wondering if you want me to bring movies back. I feel like I could make another movie, but about you remember the so, this was a series I made. It's my second old videos I made that are still up to this day. But they're old. Extremely old. Like I already did Bunny Bee last time, but like let me find my oldest channels. Like this is my first, not my first video I made. But this was still the oldest I have. It was 5 years ago. 5 years. Yeah, this was a long time ago. But still, first adrenaline, I got it. That was, and that was, this you got is my oldest channel. And this isn't my first video. The other videos got deleted by mom, of course. And the reason why we got deleted was more complicated, but rip my first video I've made. It was called, alright, here's the line I was making. Yeah, I might refix, but I might make a short one day about it, of course, but try and recreate my first ever video ever. Let's see. But I might make it one day, of course. And it'll be called, here it is. Let me try to get, it was a video I made about Hulk. I made with a Hulk mask, of course. Alright, let me get, yeah, it was let me find a Hulk mask, of course. Let me, I want to say we're gonna make, I'll recreate it. Technology. Yeah, that was like that. It was like, obviously I would have a younger voice, so it won't be perfect like that, but let's go. You'll be like, technology. That was my first words in my video I ever made. It was like, I'll add aloud. How is this add aloud? How is this add aloud? How is this add aloud? Oh, you fix your answers. I do not like. Fix. Oh. Yes, and I do have a Discord, of course, but only for the greater good. I'm using it. Only for the greater good. Anyway. Anyways, I'm still excited about Hytale because it is incredible. It is everything I ever wanted, like Minecraft, but more advanced, well, and better, of course. and also because it was yeah, and also I did try something similar like Terraria, but I tried Terraria and it's kind of overcomplicated to me because it was 2D and I didn't know the walls and a little too much, but other than that, I am excited for it. It has a lot more depth and it might get buggy and be crapple, but we'll have to wait and see. But for now, we got, and I won't be surprised if this gets age restricted because of that. Those two flashbangs. Might be me, but oh yeah, and also this was the 952.6, but now it was like bump up to 2000, over 2000. I'll be surprised if it gets bumped up to over 9,000. No, it's possible, but nothing's impossible in this day and age, except perfection. People always hate. And if I see people not like Hytale, I'm going to play this song, of course. Yeah, that will be it. You done. Anyways, here's the history of the 8 chart while we wait. This guy, he's good on it. Yeah, this is the elite. And the election where should we accept Caspian's ultimatum on giving them land in Bulgaria and Volga for a non-aggression election? Yeah, but imagine this thing still existing though. It would have been pretty epic, but sadly we won't. But I would like to see an opposite of what if the old empires in Russia switch histories where Russia can't exist while the old empire was fractured, but luckily it was not. It can still exist. Imagine a history like that, where the old empire in Russia reverts, where it was signed where you can't bring Russia back. It's impossible. And that would be, I would like to see a what if like that from A's or someone else. I would like to see that. And if not, just don't look up. Then I'll just do this then.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
I would like to see that. But most likely we're not. Or I'm not going to make it good. But it would inspire people to make it. Like, yeah, like we had opposite history. But at the same time, it might also change things too. Now, what should we talk about next? But for that, I think we might need a water. Back with from my water break. Now, anyways, what do we do now? I wonder, what do we do now? I don't want to bore, but what do we do now? I don't. Oh yeah, oh yeah. About, yeah, I want to try and do like a movie where it's like bring make Sailor Moon. I mean, not I hate it, but like Fun Moon into a full moon. Like, I would want to finish series, but I want to try to do finishes to series. But at the same time, I've changed a lot. I cannot do that anymore. I might have also forgotten a few content. Like, I don't know what I was cooking. My mom and Grandma Michelle doesn't know what I was cooking. But anyways, let's. This was also.
Must find a way to get to the campsite. Alright, do you know why I promised? You have violated the rule of not stealing my sticks. Yep. Okay, please join us.
Yeah, that was an excellent. No. No. Why did it age so bad? Why did it age so bad?
50 years later. Bro, please don't. My friends, where you should bring your first step. Sardine block the leg. Alright, we're gonna stand back.
What was I cooking? I don't. What I was cooking. I don't know what I was cooking. Right on 366. Yeah, how that does not make sense. How does this channel have a smaller number than this? But anyways, they're worried. But how was I? And now let me give you a prediction. They're going. I bet if I look up Hytale right now, there are reviews about it. There are reviews. But 30 more minutes left. Uh, FBI drama.
Hey USA, what's new with you? There was some drama with the FBI director, and there was a 125-page report that was leaked that was made by FBI agents. Apparently, the agents do not like the director. Okay, what's the drama? What's the story? Well, it's been a lot with the FBI director, Cash Patel. For example, there's a famous one named the Jacket Meltdown. The Jacket Meltdown? Yeah, so after Charlie.
Omar. Now we're first. Oh, why is this happening? Age restricting it. If YouTube doesn't age restrict it, I'm gonna make shorts about it and then refix. I'm blurring stuff out. YouTube needs to make a feature where it's just a black screen to blur something. Block the whole thing. I don't care if it ruins the experience, but just do it. Ah,
Did I mention to you that girls pushed me down at super?
let me get back on real quick. Hurry. There. Echo Song. 28 minutes. And also why. Yeah, I'm never probably gonna do this again. Probably if stay out of the homepage, because if you're going to stream, let me tell you, stay off the homepage. Use only the search bar, and that's it. Maybe shorts, but even that's risky. Don't go to home or shorts. If you're going to stream like me, do not go to home if you're going to stream. There are. I. And also, I will be streaming Minecraft the finale tomorrow. Me versus the Warden. Let's go. 26 minutes. Yeah, we need to get him to 500 more subs too. Yeah, to be honest, I'm never going to get 100,000 subscribers like 8 is. Or. And speaking of which, heads up, I only recommend you stick around till the end of today's WICSO episode, as a post-credit scene is significant in this episode. Is it episode 95? It's episode 94. I bet 95 will be pretty important. And we'll probably possibly talk about the elites or the old elites. But we got 15 agents. Age of Mesopotamia, the medieval times, age of expansion, age of exploration, age of global war, the post-war era, the early Cold War era, late Cold War era, the War of the Great, in early age of aggression, late age of aggression, the War of Absolutes, the age of modernization, and the War of the Elite. What age we could be possibly in? The age of end times? Probably. The age of end. Or the age of finales. Sounds pretty good, but. Or whatever the age could be. The age of endings. The age of Ultron. Probably. Or I have a theory. What if the same threat that could be threatening this world is the same threat in alternate future of the world where China made robots, and it took over Tibet. Of course, the monks were strong enough to defeat them, of course. And so they attacked China and, of course, Vietnam. So yeah, you can even see it right here, the white void right here.
Everyone loves a fudgy brownie, and today we're making them with festive holiday spin, and we're using Lily's.
If you want to watch this episode drunk, you can.
Being forced into surrender and the Caribbean falling over to the red team. Mexico is now starting to be invaded by the red team, and at this point, it is do or die for the blue team. And unfortunately, the blue team is going to choose die. And what do I mean by that? Well, as you can tell, the blue team is going to lose this war. They are sick and tired of all the wars happening in the world. The world to them is infested by war. They can't win the wars, and when they do win the wars, it doesn't last. They can never defeat the enemy that is at this point Russia. The core of this whole series has always been the United States versus Russia. The United States has won some, Russia has won some. This is the final draw between them. It looks like Russia is going to win. And if they do win this one, they will claim the world, unlike the United States was unable to do. And when Russia does claim the world, they are going to convert everything to their ideology. Not saying that America wouldn't do the same thing, but that is the ultimate goal of Russia here and their allies of India, Iran, Egypt, many, many more. Americans in the Americas, so people from the United States, would most likely be targeted by any Russian government officials. They could be tortured. They could be locked up for any reason. Basically, a Russian Holocaust. But I don't want to put it in that kind of word because Russia would never do something like that. But you get the idea of what I'm saying. It would not be pretty if you're American. And that actually doesn't just apply to America. Of course, that is the number one enemy of Russia, but also Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, the UK, Greenlanders, Icelanders, for some reason, French, Spaniards, Moroccans, basically anyone that had association with WDO, the Japanese, they would be subject to Russian rule, and Russian rule against them would not be fun. So the United States is going to go ahead and pull together a meeting. By this time, the leaders of Australia and New Zealand have already fled their country to America, and the UK has done so as well. But they meet in Washington, D.C. They don't meet there because it's a radiation hole. Instead, they meet in Richmond, Virginia, and they decide to launch Operation Reset. Now, what is Operation Reset? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. They plan to reset the world by any means possible. Just as they're about to put this plan into action, an extraordinary event takes place, which literally nobody saw coming. Not even you, the viewer. Maybe you did. Maybe you guys are pretty smart. China declares war on the world. Now let's remember here now. This is not humanity's China. This is AI's China. I just bet my
Yeah, imagine that.
they've been building a pretty sizable robotic army. Now, as cliche as this is 300 years in the future, and AI will probably advance to a level of this capability. But they start their invasion of the world, and they are unable to stop them. At this point, humanity as a whole is no match. Remember, these AI, they are not humans. They can't feel weather. They don't get tired. They are already programmed to be the best combatants that they can be. Swimming, not an issue. They don't have to eat. They can make ammo out of their fallen comrades should any of the robots ever fall in battle, which is already extremely unlikely. These things are war machines, and humanity cannot stop them. All of Russia is wiped out. All of Egypt is wiped out, and soon Europe will fall to the same fate. Billions of AI robots all moving across the world. But for some reason, Switzerland is not taken. Now, why wasn't Switzerland taken? Well, due to their technology, isolation, and overall smartness, they were able to build kind of a force field-like structure around themselves. Now, it's not actually a circle as it's shown on the map. It more aligns their border perfectly, and in cases all of Switzerland, it's kind of like a dome. Have you ever seen the Simpsons movie? Kind of like that, except more jagged and rigid. But the AI is unable to penetrate it. As smart as they are, Switzerland just has a lot of plot armor. I'm going to be honest with you. Switzerland is safe. That's why the AI has not invaded it. But now with the AI making the cross to Iceland and eventually Greenland, there is no longer a war between the Allies and the Axis. It was instead a battle against humanity and AI. Unfortunately, humanity was too busy fighting itself, and the AI will win this war, if you even call it a war. Thousands and thousands of people are launched into orbit as the AI takes over what is known as home from the Americans. They up and from South America, from Antarctica, and all of South America falls. At this point, world leaders are also shot into orbit, as the only things that remain are the people who are unable to make it, or the people who are left behind. But there are three very important people left in the world. And just as America is about to be captured for the final time, they make a decision in Richmond, Virginia. They launch Operation Reset. Thousands upon thousands of nuclear rockets are shot up not from just America, but from Canada, from Colombia, from Chile, from the UK, France, Spain, Poland, Turkey, all of the allies, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. Thousands of rockets from each of those countries were shot up into the air, and one by one all hit the ground at the same time. The last part of the United States and Virginia finally falls, but on that day, humanity is not the only thing that fell. As those rockets hit the ground all over the world, it became very clear that the AI were not going to be able to survive even this. These are Tsar Bomba-sized nukes, and as more and more of them hit, more and more of the world is destroyed. These are just the bigger bombs. There are smaller bombs hitting everywhere else that are probably around, I'd say, this size. That's the minimum size. But finally, there are two bombs left. Two of the largest bombs the world has ever seen, both in size, magnitude, and capability. These two bombs are dropped in two very strategical locations. One is dropped in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and the other is dropped over here in the Pacific near China. These two bombs were very well coordinated by the last three that were surviving in Richmond, and they chose these locations in order to do something that we all know and love. That is, of course, to sink the world into the bottom of the ocean. Tidal waves that are thousands of feet high start to wave over the American continent, wiping out all evidence that humanity ever existed. This isn't just happening one way, it's happening two ways. Africa and Europe are hit at the same time, and tidal waves that are once again thousands upon thousands of feet high wipe out any remnants of humanity and any remnants of land. The second one does exactly the same. Tidal waves. Australia is engulfed, and with that the rest of Asia, and eventually these two waves meet and cause a very large boom. A boom that is heard from space as the remainder of humanity watches as their world is engulfed in water. A very prudent green cloud starts to cover the world as the rest of humanity is unable to look upon their Earth, as all they see is green, except it's not land, it's radiation. And now we're left with two dots. Earth is ruined, and it will never be the same as it once was. Land will most likely never exist on this Earth. The probability of land or even life coming back is very low. Humanity, sitting in orbit of its destroyed planet, decides to go elsewhere. For now, Mars, which was most likely already claimed by humanity and most likely in livable conditions. The warfare there would soon prove to be a mess, as Mars falls and meets the same fate as Earth. Humanity would go on to live in different exoplanets along the asteroid belt and even on the moons of Jupiter, but war would follow them wherever they went, and wherever they went would soon be destroyed in a matter of hundreds or thousands of years. Eventually, humanity would leave the solar system as it was destroyed. A large split takes place between them. Half goes to one solar system, the half goes to another.
From NPR.com, the second largest city in Croatia, capital Zagreb, splits sprawls along the peninsula, turning dramatically into the Adriatic.
What? I'm not storytelling here, woman. But the big split happens. Half goes to one solar system, half goes to another, and war still plagues them. Eventually, a ginormous galactic war would take place between these two sides, and the rest is future. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support that happened with this series. It is by far my most successful series ever. I know I said that with the Empire series, but this one has proven to be a lot better. If you've watched
No time? With Braun, you can still look raw.
Yeah. Now, for imagine those things. Where's the report button? Where's the report? If I see that again, I'm gonna report. Now where's free minutes left? What to do with free? I might guess. Yeah, while we wait, let's just watch.
Okay, guys. Yesterday, Word of Immersive Interfaces was published on CurseForge for Minecraft Bedrock. For those who don't know, this is a very nice texture pack from Minecraft Java, which is the interface screen for various blocks in Minecraft. And my dream was to see it in Minecraft Bedrock. However, this port that was posted on CurseForge doesn't have the creator's permission. I asked him on his Discord server, so it will most likely be removed from CurseForge soon. However, the creator said there's an exception. There's a port that someone else made, and the link is only on his
What?
Discord.
Why is
It
he?
will most likely be removed screen for various blocks in Minecraft. And my dream was to see it in Minecraft Bedrock. However, this port that was posted on CurseForge doesn't have the creator's permission. I asked him on his Discord server, so it will most likely be removed from CurseForge soon. However, the creator said there's an exception. There's a port that someone else made, and the link is only on his Discord server. So I looked for it and ended up downloading it. And of course, if you want to try it, I'll leave the creator's Discord in the description. But remember that it was a port made by someone else. And remember that the link may disappear at any time. But you can just search for the package name in the Discord search bar and you'll find the file to download. Okay, with that being said, let's get to the video. There's a lot for us to see. And for me, one of the areas where Minecraft can still improve a lot is the interface design, which is quite beautiful. But one thing, man, look at this, dude. It's really beautiful, man. It's crazy. Here you can place the item, right? You can see that there are even some more deteriorated spaces here. I think you could call them that. Look. Wow. Very beautiful. And the item goes here. Let's do a little test here. Look. I placed it. Look. The little name already appeared there. I placed the book and go. The item will appear here. Let's go to the next one, which is the beacon. It's perfect, man. Look at this, man. Let me put it on the time bar at 7 midnight. Hey, it gives a lot more emphasis to the more lateral parts. Look, it's been many years since I activated a beacon, so I don't know if it will work, but I placed the emerald here. It gets some effect, right? So, it basically ended up like this, right? The items here are bridging. P, which has a different color. The Bicon is a block that I think Mojang could still work on a bit more in the future. It's quite useful, but people don't use it much, right? Because of its limited effects. But let's move on to the next block, which you use a lot, right? Which is the enchanting table. To tell you the truth, I prefer to fish around in books to put enchantments on than to come directly here and add something, right? Look at this. This little detail here looks like written letters, right? I don't know. It even looks like a signature, like written letters. And here's a signature. There's the potion stand here. Let's just look. Wow, man, there's even, I think it's like a mini guide here, right? Wait a minute. I'm lost, man. Wait. But here's the slot, right? Here's another slot. Here's another slot. There's a slot here too, to put the fungus there. See? Okay, my friends, I'm even going to speed it up a bit so you can see that bar going down completely. It went down, man. Really cool. Let's move on to the next interface, which is none other than the cartography table. Look how cool, belly. There's another resource pack that does a really good job on this cartography table. The globe rotates here, etc. This part here turned out really neat. Like, imagine you're in your room at night. You have a flashlight here, and you're doing the cartography. Man, let me grab the paper here to see if we can extend the map and see if there's any difference. Wait, look how cool. It's already changing, man. There's the chest. You can see it. There are some really interesting depth details here. It even looks kind of bugged, but I think it's just a depth detail. Then there's the double chest. You can see it. Super exotic. There are 3 other containers here, right? Which would be the end test. This one doesn't have any specific animation, right? It would be cool if it had something kind of mythical way in the background, right? Because this chest, man, it's a real lifesaver when you're at the end of the game, right? Which is when you go to the Tooth Cities. Let's see the sugar. This purple detail here. This embroidery. right? You can see a little bit of it on the outside too, and it stays the same inside. There's the barrel. Look, this part of your inventory will never change, right? We're also going to take a look at the survival and creative inventory. But let's move on to some other containers, right? Which, like in Minecraft, refers to blocks that you can click, interact with, and open. Wow, this furnace is pretty worn out, huh? You can even see this part here, which is a little book. It's not working, right? But we'll see that in our inventory. This little book here opens. Let me grab this because I'm going to use it now in the powerful furnace. Look at the details. Look, here there's like this thing here that's for blowing, right? To make the fire stronger. This powerful furnace is way cooler, isn't it, man? Wow, really awesome, man. Oh, there's also here, right? The blast furnace. Wait a minute, man. Ah, I'm made of wood here, man. There's the kitchen plate. Great. It turned out really cool. If there was some detail like to really light it up there in the back when you put your item, that would be cool. I don't even know if that's possible in Minecraft Java too. Then there's the grinding wheel here. I think that's the name. There's literally the grinding wheel mounted on a structure so it can spin. It's even square, right? Just like in Minecraft. There's the bucket of water there too, right? Because when the grinding wheel is used to sharpen a tool, it usually uses water so the friction isn't so strong, making it much smoother. Really cool, but I'm not going to test that here because, honestly, if I've used the grinding wheel twice in the game, that's a lot. There's the lectern here, right? Well, it's not really the lectern. Look, I forgot about the lectern, man. This is the low, right? It looks like a painting studio, man. So, if you're not used to using these blocks, you might be a little lost about what you have to put here. Here, right, man? I put this here, I put this here, I put this here. Take that. Too cinematic. Now we're going to move on to survival mode.
Oh, 5 minutes
of our
left.
inventory.
Now let's try to clear all the blues. Of course, we got this for 10. Yeah, I might watch this later after WICSO, of course. Yo, when you gonna make a new prediction? Bin of the week? Yeah, I don't. Uh, here are some of my subscribers. There's my cousin right here, of course. Monzar Z. Mustard plays. But I forgot about the 80 really blue team. There's Omar, he might have made an interview. Nope. Yeah, Signquest. Haven't seen him in a long time, but was Jesus guilty? Mostly. Not. I don't think he is. How is he guilty? Yeah, I don't know yet, but we'll see. I won't be surprised if he did it for the people, of course. And final, there was A's. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 7, a 8, a 9, a 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh. Wait, what was... Ah, that was weird. But a 1, yes. No. Oh.
So today we're going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 94 of the series, and in the previous episode,
Come on.
a ton of cool events happening, such as a major war
There.
over here in Central Europe. We saw the unification of 3 countries into one of the largest countries in the world over here in the Pacific region, the expansion of some unitarian countries, and most importantly, we saw the Assembly of Nations pass a resolution that would create the Planetary Defensive Treaty Organization, or the PDTO for short. But in this episode, we're going to be expanding on some of those things, as well as looking at some other wars and major events. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. As always, all the support is greatly appreciated. Make sure to check out the limited edition 200,000 subscriber merchandise that'll be going away after December 31st. Link to that down in the description below. We'll also find a link to the Discord server, as well as channel membership, which will give you early access to each and every one of our videos. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight to this WICSO video. So starting off where we left off with the creation of the PDTO, this is a global alliance, a global military alliance that is created for the sake of defending the planet against any extraterrestrial threat, and more specifically, any threat that was mentioned about the Singularity Testament. Remember back when Fuzan gave the whole briefing to the Assembly of Nations, he mentioned that there was a foreign threat that could come back to Earth and try to retake it. This is the AN's solution to that, the creation of a worldwide organization that is made up of some of the best militaries in the world, and it will be the largest military alliance in history. Of course, made through the AN itself. So every member state has the choice of either joining it or not joining it. And this is kind of where it's starting to get tricky with the public, because something like this is going to be kind of hard to hide, but they will for now. So still, the people of the world are unaware of what could be coming, and more so unaware of this new military alliance. And taking a look at all the countries that join the PDTO, we can see that there are a ton all across the map with little to no regard to like political affiliation or relations to any other country. We have nations as new as Pacifica joining, and nations as radical as Australia joining. There really is no like pattern. Like, it's not like all the democratic countries. It's not like, all the countries that are aligned with each other in a certain regard. It's completely random. It's just a matter of how close the country feels to, wanting to defend the rest of the planet from a possible extraterrestrial threat. So even though that Australia is fascist, they recognize that an external threat that would decimate the entire Earth needs the collaboration of all countries on the planet rather than just a select few. So that is why they join it. And it's a pretty similar case for every single country. So every nation that you see with the white gear, they are a member of the Planetary Defense Treaty Organization. And just because a country isn't in the PDTO doesn't mean that they can't join at a later time. There might have been some domestic issues that either slowed down the process or delayed it. And another important note about this alliance is that it is not a domestic planetary alliance that defends countries from one another. It is only activated when an external threat comes to Earth, and at only that point will all countries work together to respond. This is the most united Earth has ever been under any circumstance. It's a major accomplishment for this world, but now we're coming down to Central Europe, where we have a war happening. So while everyone is celebrating the creation of the planetary organization, Germany wants revenge. And don't worry, I talk about this world's Germany, not the real Germany. More so, actually, Germany wants to take out their anger on another country. In the previous episode, of course, we saw that they were invaded by the Dutch and the Romans. They lost a ton of land, but now they're taking it out on one of their neighbors, and honestly, probably one of their allies, as they send troops over into the Red Danzig country and begin their invasion. Now, notably, these guys are not a member of any organization other than the Assembly of Nations. But this was a surprise invasion, so there really wasn't much that the AN could do to slow it down or stop it. Nonetheless, though, Germany will completely occupy all of the Red Team. And in the peace treaty, we have Danzig being completely annexed by Germany, so they get back a little bit of land, but some countries around them are not so happy that they have just done this, more specifically Poland, who shared pretty friendly relations with the Red Team, but they're gone now, and there's nothing much that they can do to bring them back without starting a major war. So now moving on down to the continent of South America, we have some alliance changes occurring here, and to be more specific, we finally see the Red Communist Argentine country / Chilean country join in on the South American Economic Alliance. Now every single country here is involved in said alliance. Remember, it took them a very long time to convert their economy to be compatible with the rest of South America, since they are a communist nation. All of the other countries are capitalist democracies, or more so probably like socialist-ish economies. I often find myself imagining that the WICSO world is pretty left-leaning on the economic scale compared to what it is in real life, which is pretty far right-leaning. Well, not far right, but right-leaning definitely. And that's because, remember, the world is at a stage now where human lives are actually being prioritized by the governments, and human life development and quality of life is very high. So when I say things like that, socialism kind of comes to mind, where the government is providing all these services for their people, and that's kind of what I imagine here in this world. But still, communism would be the extreme left version of that, and then socialism still it's left-leaning ideology. But they finally make it work, and they join in on South America's Economic Alliance. On top of that, though, we also have two major changes to the military alliance, as the Brown Team joins in on it, and so does the nation of Brazil. Yes, the military alliance was created to deter Brazil and to keep it in check, but Brazil has found themselves in that very alliance. So what we're getting from this actually is that all of South America is now united in a sovereign state, but economically and militarily it is one country. Don't take that too literally, because obviously it's not, but in a sense it kind of is. This is the most united continent in the world now, and it's kind of crazy how far it's come from being divided between communism and fascism to having a lot of involvement in multiple world wars, World War IV and World War V, and to mellowing out into one of the most peaceful continents with really no violence or anything like that, other than well, not violence, but some spite towards Brazil because of the past and the history. A lot of the people in these countries down here still aren't too favorable of Brazil. Same goes for these guys over here. But the governments are working together. They're collaborating together. These are completely new governments that have no connection to the historic governments. So that is why this collaboration effort is actually possible. But now moving straight on over across the Atlantic Ocean to Africa, we are once again going to be talking about African Unitaria. That's because they are going to be adding yet another country into their Unitarian Union, and And that country is none other than the yellow team. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. A lot of the countries in South Africa are very interested in Unitarianism and have expressed interest in joining this union. The yellow team is the most recent. Before that, it was the purple team. I believe that's what their color was. The only countries that really aren't interested in this thing are Tanzania and, to an extent, the red team. South Africa, one of the stronger countries in the world, they're interested. A former Security Council member, they are having some interest and some talks about joining this thing. Pink team as well, although there are some differences there they still need to work out, but they're very close to figuring that out and getting it done. And the lavender country up here is most likely to join next. But for now, African Unitaria will expand once more, and you can see how it's slowly but surely becoming one of the largest countries in the world. Now, unfortunately for them, Pacifica did snatch that title last episode. And also, I do want to say that the color that I saw the most likes for comment-wise was lavender, so I went with this. I also saw some comments saying orange and yellow. I don't think orange looks too good. It kind of just really sticks out in a bad way, so we're not going to go with orange. And I could see yellow, but like kind of similar to orange, it kind of sticks out way too much. Even if we go lighter, you know, it still is like a sore thumb. I think that the lavender color is overall the best color possible. I know there's a ton of blue over here, but it doesn't stick out too much. You know, this is a very large country, and maybe it should stick out a little bit, but not as much as how it looks with orange or yellow. But we're just going to stick with this. Let me know how you guys think about that down below. But yeah, Africa Unitaria, very large. It's very interesting if we take a quick peek at the religion/ethnicity map of South Africa. You can see that the purple ethnicity is almost completely gone. Not gone, but more so assimilated into Unitarianism. But South Africa is one of the only purple countries remaining, as well as parts of the pink team over here. Those parts of this country are the ones that are mostly driving the desire to join in on Africa Unitaria. Now moving on over to Central Asia, though, we have another war occurring here. And this one is between the orange team and the teal team, two countries that have recently been involved in war. But this one is simply just about the expansion of the orange team, so they sent troops straight on over into the teal team. Once again, another surprise invasion. The assembly couldn't do much to slow this one down either. That's because, of course, they didn't know this was happening until there were boots on the ground over here. But the orange team's military has been built up a substantial amount recently, and this is mostly because the leader desires to expand the territory of the orange team. So that's why we see this happening here. Their troops will quickly move up, capture this city over here on the coast of the Caspian Sea, while a specialized division will be sent straight towards the capital city, disconnecting it from other large areas of the country. Over here, we'll see orange team troops also move up, going towards this city up here, and really the blue team just kind of fails to push back completely.
The green
Surprise invasions, usually they go pretty well for the one that is attacking, but in some cases they can't go well. Usually that only occurs though when you're attacking a country that is way stronger than you. However, at this point the orange team is way stronger than the teal team. That's why we see so much dominance here. Although we do see the teal team push back in some very small ways, they are able to liberate almost the entirety of this coastal area. But as the second wave of invaders come, they will fall short in their goals of pushing back the orange team completely. They lose another major city up in the north, and now the orange team is right back outside of their capital city, and soon after, they'll go ahead and take it. A few weeks will go on as the teal team continues to fight for its existence. However, those attempts at existing
Imagine the orange
as
team becoming
will eventually completely
getting a plot
occupy
twist.
the country, and we can go ahead and take a look at a peace treaty between the orange team and the teal team. And in this peace treaty here, we'll see the orange team annexes pretty much all of the teal team, or more so a majority of the westernmost parts. They do leave them to exist, although in a very small state. The orange team probably could have annexed all this land, but they decided to be nice and let them exist. Anyway, though, the orange team now gets more Caspian coast, and they become a lot stronger, but notably they also now share a border, more so a larger border, with the pink team. And you guys can probably imagine that the pink team isn't too happy about the expansion and all the wars that have happened down here, but also remember that the pink team and the orange team have collaborated before to take out a country that used to be right around here, the communist purple country. And also, on the topic of that, these areas are still very violent. These governments are doing their best to control these guys to make sure that there isn't any more violent outbursts by anybody. But it's still pretty bad, so they're going to have to do a lot more assimilating as well as receive a lot more help from the other AN countries. But it's definitely better than it used to be. Now we shift our focus right down south of this region to the Mesopotamian countries. And it's for a very, very important reason, but also a very suspicious reason. Palestine will be uniting with the red team. This event is kind of out of nowhere. The AN, as well as any countries that surround these guys, they didn't foresee it happening. They thought that Palestine was now its own thing. But no, they decided to reunite with the red team. And as you guys have probably started to notice, Mesopotamia has slowly but surely become more and more united. In Anatolia, there's only two countries here now. All of the countries that may have previously existed in this red country are now all a part of one under these guys. These two countries even united. So yeah, there's less and less countries here And the world is watching Mesopotamia, and they're like kind of observing what is happening here. This very slow but very sure buildup of unity
Yep.
in Mesopotamia. And remember, the peace treaty of World War IV says that the old empire, aka the unification of the red team and the blue team, is forbidden. That cannot happen. It doesn't prevent other countries from joining those two countries, so the pink team could even unite with the blue team. Although they have a little bit of a rivalry with a certain war that happened a couple decades ago, but they're still very friendly with each other. They're both Mesopotamians. They recognize each other as Mesopotamian brothers at the end of the day. But the world is watching this region because there is a sense amongst the citizens here that the Grand Empire could return. Social media, for example, their version of it, probably way more advanced than our version. There's like talks of
Yep.
bringing back the old Grand Empire, the old empire, the Grand Empire, whatever you want to call
Please
it. It was under
don't
very
bring it
chaos.
back. Please
So
don't
the
bring it back.
citizens are putting it into motion, but the governments are going to reinstate the fact that they cannot make that happen because if it did happen, a worldwide coalition would form against them. Power is not allowed to be centralized in Mesopotamia because it could very easily be exploited, and this country could very easily do a lot of damage to all of the other countries around it if it united. But that doesn't mean that there aren't politicians that are working together between these two countries that aren't trying to find a workaround. Small portions of each government are secretly behind the scenes trying to find a workaround that wouldn't get the whole world involved. It's very secret, and the main governments know about that, and they want to make sure that these groups keep it extraordinarily secret. If word got out, well, that coalition could form a lot earlier than they wanted to. But for now, they once again reinstate that they have no intention of doing that, and they continue to carry on with their lives. We will now, however, head on over here to Europe, and that's because we see yet another Unitarian country
Well-
expand. This time, Iberia Unitaria will be adding another member, and that member is the Dark Purple Team, aka
Yeah,
Catalonia.
the best
Now,
team is
this
going to be
also
Unitarian.
extremely
Uh,
surprising, considering the fact that this country has come in and out of existence constantly. But here it decides to not necessarily give up its existence, but to give up its sovereignty in order to live on with these other two countries under the more perfect society. This is once again very surprising to a lot of the European countries who thought that maybe this newer country would want to exist for a little bit, but no, they want to join the Unitarians. People very largely support it, and so does the government, and thus they make it happen. Of course, these guys will be colored in the Unitarian ethnicity / religion, which actually isn't much of an ethnicity or a religion, more so of a societal standing. But yeah, the ethnicity map in this video has become very, very interesting, especially down here in Africa, but also now over here in Europe, we see this estranged community down here in the south of France that maybe might want to join the Unitarians. Now though, taking a break from unity and taking a break from countries coming together, we're heading down here to the southeastern portion
Coalition.
of the map, where we have
Coalition.
a major regional conflict occurring. Australia is once again going to expand their borders, but this time it comes with a severe consequence as troops start to occupy Filipino islands. Now, as
Well-
we probably should remember, the Philippines are in a military alliance with the likes of Vietnam, and also South China. South China has grown to become one of the stronger countries in the world, without a doubt a top 20 power, even a
Last
top 50 power.
fascination
They have
WICSO.
also in many
I
ways
made.
surpassed
Now I have to
North China, or
update it.
normal China.
I have to
I don't think I've ever
update
spoken about
it.
North China before, but I guess that also kind of puts into
Ah.
perspective how big this country is or has become in comparison to their
Thank
former
you,
ruler.
haters.
But with Australian troops impeding on Filipino territory, that alliance will be activated, and Vietnam and South China will both come to the aid of their ally. Now, the response isn't going to necessarily be right away, and the Philippines will lose a majority of their territory. In fact, they begin
Oh,
to question their actual
When I
you
first
guys
started,
going to get here. And right before they lose all hope, their allies come to the rescue, and they immediately begin to push back around Australia. The Australian military has not been humiliated before, but it's kind of happening here. Their own territory even begins to be invaded by the Trapezoid Alliance, and soon enough, they almost completely lose their foothold in the Philippine Islands. A very embarrassing loss for them. But they will begin to send in reinforcements up north, but not before crossing over into Indonesia Unitarian waters, violating said waters, and
You-
also getting into a naval skirmish with them, which inadvertently brings Indonesia into the war. And since Indonesia was attacked, that also brings the other Unitarians into the war. So yeah, the Unitarians join the war. It's the Star
Yep.
Alliance and
it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World moment.
the Trapezoid Alliance versus Red Australia. Not a good matchup for them. But most importantly to note here, this is the first time that we've ever seen the Unitarian military alliance be used. These countries have pretty much never, ever used their militaries other than the Iberian one, and also technically the failed one in Central Asia, but that doesn't really count. They never joined the the alliance. They were never a core unitarian country, but like Canada, Japan, Indonesia, South Africa, those countries, they don't use their militaries, but this is the first time they're ever going to be doing that. And if I'm not wrong, I think it's the second time that Canada has ever used their military. I think the first time was in the Civil War that happened over here, and I don't even know if they directly used their military. I don't exactly remember. It might have been indirect involvement where they had like a rebellious group fighting. And if that was the case, which I'm starting to think that it was, then that means that this is Canada's first ever war. The Unitarian militaries, they're not notoriously strong or anything like that. In fact, pretty average, a little bit above average because of their economies and stuff like that. But fighting isn't really like a societal standard of the Unitarians. You know, they're anti-war. However, they find themselves in war with one of the stronger countries in the world. But it isn't a matter of being at war. It's more so a matter of protecting the other Unitarian countries. They are one society. They recognize each other as one society, separated by different borders, different geographical landscapes and stuff like that. We're Unitarians here, but you guys are also Unitarians, and so are the Japanese. It's one society under different countries, and thus it is of utmost importance that we withhold that society that we have worked so hard to maintain and keep. Indonesia Unitaria will, for the first time ever, deploy their military and begin to smoke Australia. That is in large part thanks to the fact that a majority of the Australian invasion forces are now up here in the southern Philippines. They were sent here to push back against the counteroffensive. They do go ahead and secure the entirety of the southern island, but immediately they're withdrawn once again to protect against this upcoming force, which has already made its way into Papua New Guinea. Now, Australia doesn't have any allies, which kind of sucks for them. There isn't a single soul in this world that wants to help them out, so they're going to have to use their own military, and finally they will be able to deploy it over here and halt the expansion of the Unitarians. But they also know that as time goes on, more and more troops will flood into this country, and the chances of them losing go drastically up. Right now, the armies of Japan and South Africa are more likely than not reaching Indonesia. But soon after, we could see the militaries of Canada and Iberia join over there. And these are the two stronger militaries in the alliance. This is kind of random, but if we were to do military rankings for the Unitarian Alliance, the strongest country in that alliance is actually Iberia, followed by Canada, followed by South Africa, then Indonesia, then Japan. So yeah, even though that Iberia is one of the smallest, it's also the strongest. What does that tell us? Size doesn't matter. Anyway, in the Philippines, the pink team will once again send troops down with the help of their allies, and Australia is now completely kicked out of the Philippines. That was not their goal. Their goal was to take over all of the Philippines, but now they have no Philippines. So, yeah, losers. Did I mention that the armies of South China and Vietnam are also helping out Indonesia? These guys are all relatively friendly with each other, so the Indonesians have really no issue with allowing for these guys' armies to move through their territory. And the effort to protect the Philippines is now turning into an effort to destroy Australia. Maybe not completely destroy them, but definitely push back their influence and push back their borders. But now with the militaries of Canada and Iberia here, Red Australia's military is in shambles. This is the first time that Australia has ever faced an invading force that is much stronger than itself. So, there will be little to no counter invasions by Australia. And by little, I mean like one. And it takes back like a little bit of the central area, but not for long, as the combined coalition of the defenders will just blitz right through the rest of Papua New Guinea. Then I reach all the way over here to the easternmost areas of this island. The Australian land force is split off into two pieces, and not long after are they required to retreat back to the main continent. So Australia will lose all of their ground.
After a wild plumber, it's gone.
Some islands over here off the coast. It's a pretty bad beatdown of Australia. And now, though, we reach a very interesting point. While the combined military of all of these countries might be very strong and stronger than Australia, it's not enough to navally invade Australia. That is, without a doubt, out of the question. If you do that, you are going to be wasting so many resources, so many lives, it's just not worth it in the end. The main point of this war was to protect the Philippines and also to protect Indonesia. That has very easily been fulfilled. Invading Australia just seems like a little bit too excessive. So they will offer the Australian government an opportunity to sit down and discuss peace negotiations. And very surprisingly, Australia will accept. The fascist government here knows that they want land. They know they want to expand their territory. They also know that their empire is very fragile. This is not a very free country. In fact, it's very suppressed, very, very restrictive on what you can do.
And they did genocide as well.
Too much, they tend to rebel. You can ask pretty much any of the countries in the world that used to have a radical ideology, like Brazil, definitely will tell you that, hey, you know, maybe sit this one out. You don't want to fall apart, do you? Remember that Australia is made up of many countries. This wasn't always just one country More recently, it was 2, the red team and the blue team. But before that, there were a ton of countries here. So they will now meet over here in India to discuss a peace
And that
treaty.
was
Now, let's go ahead
decades
and take a
ago.
look at said treaty. And in this treaty here, we see a couple of things happening. First of all, starting in the Philippines, they will now completely annex all of the Philippine islands. So this country, but that is just the outcome of this peace treaty. Also, pretty similar to real life, Indonesia is looking a lot like Indonesia. They just don't have their half of Papua New Guinea, and that's because the yellow team has been brought back at this point. This country was annexed by Red Australia, however, in the peace treaty, they were forced to split them out, now leaving the Australian Empire just to a few islands outside of the main continent, and of course New Zealand as well as a little chunk down here in the south of this island. But yeah, their reach is heavily reduced. They used to be all the way up here. Now they are just north, like in this area. Actually, it might be the Solomon Islands. But yeah, very small. They're not so happy about that, but they do retain their country, and the government does retain their authority. No major upbringings, no major rebellions or revolutions,
Oh,
anything like that. They hold on, and the people are just kind of mad. But you can like beat them with batons and stuff, spray tear gas into their eye to make them go away.
oh,
So they're going to probably do that. Oh no, so these guys will join the Assembly of Nations. Now, whenever a country is created or comes back, they automatically join the AN because it's a pretty essential part of this world now. Like if a country wasn't in the AN, it would be very weird. But now that we come over here to Canada, where we have yet another Unitarian expansion, this time the country
New
of
York.
New England or New York or whatever.
Luxury fragrances are now exclusively available at your local store. This limited collection makes everything smell better.
You don't deserve it.
The world. New York or New England has been independent for a very long time, ever since they got independence from the Dutch team hundreds of years ago. And they've also coexisted with the Unitarians in a way that made a lot of countries think that they had no interest in joining, but that isn't necessarily the case. As you can see, they've joined. And now America is a little bit more scared of the countries that surround them. A few episodes ago, they were the big bad country, the strongest country in the world. Now, though, there are 2 countries that are right on their border that are both larger than them. And, well, if they work together, they can definitely take them down. I was going to say stronger, but that is definitely not the case. So, 3 Unitarian expansions, technically 4 Unitarian expansions, have happened in this episode. The ideology / societal function, whatever you want to call it, is very rapidly gaining popularity. More and more people are white, and there is a good percentage of people in the world that believe that their country should be under this new ideology. There is a percentage that exists of people in the world, and this is a actual percentage, like over 1%, that want the whole world united under Unitarianism. They believe that it can actually happen and it can actually work. Now, right now, that is a very bizarre and honestly impossible idea. You cannot unite the whole world under one country because it's so diverse and so many different countries want their own independence. Like South America, for example, these are all of these sovereign nations down here. They call themselves the sovereigners because they want to remain separate as their own thing, just in a collaborative effort with the other countries around them. There's also countries that you just simply couldn't unite together. It just wouldn't work. Greece does not want to be in the same union as Mesopotamia, just as Mesopotamia doesn't want to be in the same union as the Green Team. Yes, they're catching strays even hundreds, if not thousands of years later. Actually, yeah, definitely thousands of years later. This rivalry is ancient. First episode. But yeah, that idea is very, 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 very unordinary, and countries just don't recognize it as a possibility. Like, it's 1% of people that wish that. That's a very small percentage, but still in the grand population of this world, which is probably well over 10 billion now, probably well over 15 billion now. That is a substantial amount of people. In fact, that is 150 million. A lot of people. But for our final event of this episode, now coming over here to China, we have a unification between them and a country that just recently broke away from them. In World War V, China was forced to spit out both of these countries over here. And that wasn't for a reason of wanting to give these guys independence, like they didn't want to be separated or anything. It's just more so they wanted to weaken China. And sure, there are some issues that have persisted with China in these regions, like they might have exploited this region and they kind of left it behind in the sense that these countries are very rural compared to the other more city and urban population over here where the Chinese government actually exists and does a lot of their business. So that was like the justification for giving these 2 countries independence, but it wasn't necessarily a great idea. Not really a great idea at all for this country, who is ranking very, very poorly in world economy, one of the worst in the world, and in terms of development of the population, also pretty down the drain. So the country here will go to China, and they're going to be like, hey, can you annex us? And China's like, no, because of the peace treaty. And then they're like, okay, maybe let's ask the AN. So the green team will bring it before the AN, and the assembly's like, interesting. But since we are desiring to improve the world and improve quality of life, we will allow this to happen. So they changed the peace treaty to allow for the green team to once again become part of China. It's a peaceful annexation, and the majority of the people here are happy that it happens. And the government here is very, very quickly disintegrated. Yeah, they didn't really do a good job, but the people are just happy to be a part of the mainland once again. But yeah, China will now peacefully expand their borders, and a lot more people are happy. Anyway, though, that is going to do it for today's episode on What If Civilization Started Over. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Just a quick announcement real quick, there will not be a WICSO video next weekend. I will be going home for winter break. Therefore, I don't have a lot of time to plan it out because that video will have some cinematic aspects to it. And on that topic, don't go anywhere because after the screen fades to black, you will see a very important lore cutscene. And I honestly don't want any of you to miss it. I know that not everyone's going to watch it. It might be a little bit confused in the next episode, or not actually, because I'm going to set it up in a way that isn't confusing. Anyway, don't go anywhere is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I will be taking a slight break from WICSO next week just so I can take all my stuff home and not have to worry about working on cinematic as well as the episode at the same time. I'm working on finals in college right now, so there's a lot of stuff happening next week. I don't really have the time to produce that episode as I want to. I think there still will be a video on Saturday. It'll just not be a WICSO video. But if you guys want to show some further support, also check out the limited edition 200,000 subscriber merchandise. Link to that down in the description. Then there you'll also find a link to the Discord server, which has a very cool mock government happening there with its own elections and just a ton of cool things with that. So I highly suggest you check that out as well. And also check out the channel memberships to get early access to each and every single one of our videos, including WICSO videos, so you can see these videos a full day early if you're a member. Pretty cool deal. Most of the members like it because of that. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.
What will be the post-credit scene? Galaxy Milk Faction Fund.
New system detected in the Milky Way. The group of 5 must have been hiding it. Unknown system. Impossible. That entire galaxy has been charted. No, it can't be. Earth? After all of these millenniums? God has finally returned to us. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Augusto Mapping, Easta Max, the YouTuber, the official GeoMapper, on YT, Kingdom of the Acheron, Andrew, H3 Junior, Augusto, Opie the Brad is Terminator, my name, Xander Pro 2023, Big France, Nevada Garbage Truck, Small Mapping, Australian Geo Guy, Zaylands, Laser Case Mapping, and Camera.
Anyways, see you later. See y'all, everyone. Hope you have a great day. See you next time. Well, no WICSO view for